So, what are some of the common challenges an executive leader faces while attempting to balance family and work?
Well, I think the common challenge is really centered around workload and responsibility. I mean, when you're an executive, typically, whether you are running an operation or whether you are leading support, I mean, you have not only a high level of responsibility, but a lot of influence and really it's a lot of pressure. The amount of pressure is pretty intense. So that creates challenges within itself in terms of trying to manage a family and balance, spending time with your family as well as spending time doing what's necessary to deliver business results. The thing that we do when you're in the corporate world is pretty intense, especially in financial services and with the amount of regulations and all of the things that are going on right now.
How do you recommend someone can overcome those challenges?
I think you really have to put a stake in the ground. You have to work on the balance. Working on the balance simply means doing what's necessary to have dinner with your family when you can, and making sure that you stick to those particular nights and spend time with your family. And then later on, if you have to get back to work, then that's what you have to do. Later on in my marriage, specifically the first time, that was one of the things that I attempted to do to create more balance. So I would get off at a certain hour, have dinner, work on getting my children put to bed, and then I would end up working very, very late into the night. But that was after I at least gave them some time. Being disciplined and rigorous around that process really helps.
Explain your marital status.
I've been married before. I was married actually twice. I was married 17 years the first time to the mother of my children. I do have two children. I've got a daughter that is 30. I have a son, 26. I was married a second time for 7 years, and I went through another divorce in 2008. Currently, I'm not married. Don't know whether that will happen again.
What characteristics should the spouse of a corporate leader possess to keep the relationship strong?
That's a really good question. I think first and foremost, if a person marries someone that is in the corporate world, I think you really have to spend time making sure that the spouse understands what that entails. And I don't think you can really do that verbally. I don't condone living together without being married, but I think somehow you've got to let them experience what that would really feel like, and then they have to make a decision as to whether that's the life they really want to lead or not. Because I think the spouse has to be extremely self-sufficient, and they need to have a job themselves. It's not about the money they make, but they need to be very occupied, and they need to be able to feel as though they are contributing to the relationship versus feeling as though they're not contributing and they're not busy. I can honestly say with my second marriage, I didn't spend enough time making sure that she really understood what her life was going to be like married to a person that has the level of responsibility that I had when we got married.
What kind of characteristics should someone like you possess to maintain a strong relationship?
I think the person in my position has to be able to turn it off. And when I say turn it off, I mean, when you come home, you've got to try to dehumanize yourself so that you're able to show some level of emotion and positive compassion once you're with your spouse. It's very hard to decompress, but you have to try to decompress and put yourself in a position so that you can start to communicate with your spouse and make that person feel warm and welcome and, loved. So that person has to have the ability to be able to do that. Otherwise, you seem, disconnected and cause problems within itself.
So do you believe that corporations have an obligation to make sure that employees are balancing work and family?
I'm not going to say that I think it is 100% the responsibility of the company. I think that it is a joint responsibility, but I think the employee really has to drive it. I believe that a corporation has the responsibility of ensuring that their employees understand the importance of working and balancing the family life. I think that's really important. I think the corporation has a responsibility to lay out what that should really look like. I think a healthy employee, a balanced employee, is a more productive employee. I do, however, realize that in the current environment, realism sets in, and I think each employee has upon themselves to look for ways to manage the work-life balance, and then sit down and have a conversation with the employer about it.
What advice can you offer men and women who aspire to climb the corporate ladder and maintain a family?
Make sure that you understand your family is first, not the job. Because at the end of the day, the corporation will use your family first. The job is the means by which you use to support your family. But nothing should come before your faith in God. Nothing should come before your family. And nothing should really come before your really close friends. The job, and that's the balance you must have. The job is a way to support your ability to be able to take care of your family and help others around you. But I firmly don't believe that it should be first in your life. Because when something happens, or if you get sick, or if you get ill, you can rest assured that as soon as you're out of that position, you will be replaced in a nanosecond. I don't get caught up in this position, this SVP title. What makes me as a person is my own personal legacy should be around what I've done to serve God first, and what I've done to ensure that my friends and family know that I care. And I can't say that 10 years ago that was where I was, but anyone that's growing or aspiring right now, that's what I would say. That's where you want to be mentally. Doesn't mean that you take away your intensity or your competitiveness around growing and getting better, but it simply means that you know what's important. The next thing I would say is do not over-leverage yourself. And when I say over-leverage, don't grow from a corporate standpoint and then buy more toys. You must do your best to live debt-free. I firmly believe that, because if you create debt, then you become a slave to that job. You've got to eliminate debt. You have to live below your means. Don't allow your operation costs to grow with your position. Live below your means and save as much as possible, because these big jobs are not promised to you long term. The only other point that I would make is you have to stay grounded. Don't ever forget where you came from. You must maintain a very common touch with people that are around you, with each level of influence. Just don't ever forget where you came from. Often I see people that grow and gain more influence, and they forget where they come from. You just can't do that. And I can remember when I had some real serious challenges in my life, and being able to remember that helps to make sure that I move with the right level of